Hi everyone, my name is Navdeep Kaur. Now I am going to talk about the origins of criminology as a social science. Criminology, as we know today, began taking shape in the 18th and the 19th centuries. Initially, crime was understood primarily through a legal or moral lens. People were seen as either good or evil, and punishment was often severe and arbitrary. The entitlement brought new ideas. Thinkers like Cesare Beccaria and Jeremy Bentham began to argue that crime was a result of rational choice and that laws should be fair, predictable, and proportionate. This marked the birth of the classical school of criminology. Crime was now seen as a social issue, not just a moral feeling. In the 19th century, the positivist school emerged, arguing that human behavior, including criminal behavior, was influenced by external and internal factors beyond a person's control: biology, psychology, and environment. This shift laid the foundation for criminology as a social science, applying scientific methods to understand the causes of a crime. One of the earliest biological theories was proposed by Italian criminologist Cesare Lombroso. He suggested that criminals were atavists, biological throwbacks to an earlier stage of human evolution. He believed you could identify a criminal by physical features like a sloping forehead or large jaw. While groundbreaking at the time, Lombroso's theory was deeply flawed. It lacked scientific rigor, relied heavily on stereotypes, and ignored environmental and social influences. Furthermore, it justified racial and class discrimination under the guise of science. Early biocriminology similarly faced criticism. It sought to find inherited criminal traits, often using biased and unethical methods. These theories promoted deterministic views, suggesting some people were simply born criminals. Mm, while early biocriminology was discredited, modern science has revived interests in the biological roots of behavior using much more reliable methods. Neuroscience and genetics have shown that biology can play a role in predisposing individuals to criminal behavior, but not in isolation. For example, genetics studies on twins and adoptees suggest that certain genes may increase impulsivity or aggression, traits linked to criminality. And the brain structure, like imaging studies, show that damage to the prefrontal cortex, which governs decision making and self control, is often associated with increased violent behavior. Neurotransmitters and hormones. Imbalances in chemical like serotonin or high levels of testosterone have been linked to aggression. But again, these are risk factors, not causes. They influence behavior in interaction with the environment. Biological influences are primarily studied at the individual level. This means that rather than labeling groups, scientists now look at how a person's unique biology interacts with life experiences. For instance, a child with a genetic predisposition for impulsivity may not become a criminal unless they also grow up in a violent or neglectful environment. On the other hand, a sportive upbringing can mitigate biological risks. This shift in thinking highlights a more holistic view. Modern criminologists understand that crime arises from a complex interplay of factors biological, psychological, and social. In the end, criminology has evolved from moral judgment to a nuanced evidence based social science. Early biological theories like atavism were limited and often misused. Today, we acknowledge that biology can influence behavior, but it doesn't determine it. Most importantly, biological influences are understood in the context of individual life stories and environments. Understanding crime requires that we move beyond simplistic explanations and embrace complexity. Only then can we build more just, humane, and effective systems of justice. Thank you.